last days of his life, and we're talking about the firebombing of France and the last day, inherent quality.
Okay, well, by the winter of 1965, there were three things that happened right in a row. He was banned from France. His home was firebombed, and he was assassinated. Now, to me, and I'm looking now as back on this, it was like somebody had said, this guy's got to go. First, he landed in Paris. The French government would not let him in. They shipped him back to London. That happened. The following week, he was home. His home was firebombed. His wife and children in the house. They got out. They lost everything, but no one was injured in the firebombing. And then the next Sunday, I remember the next Saturday, we had a meeting in the OAAU, and it was decided that from then on everybody was going to be searched who came to our rallies. And we had a big rally scheduled the next day, and Brother Malcolm said no. He didn't want people searched. You look back on it now, we should have told him the same thing that they tell Reagan. You have nothing to do about your protection. We make this decision. So then we went on and we went to the Audubon Ballroom the next day for the rally. When he came in that Saturday, I had written something the day before saying we still support him. And again, he looked at it. He told me, Brother Peter, you can't say this because you say it like this, something get in trouble. So I put it off to the side. So when he came in the next day, he called me backstage. And the reason he did that, he thought that he knew that he said, I know you worked very hard on that, and I just want you to understand why I said don't do it. I said I do understand. I understand exactly what you're saying. We talked very briefly. There was an article about the Deacons for Defense and Justice in the New York Times. I showed him the clip, and he said, well, it's about time. It's very good to see some brothers now talking self-defense. This was in Louisiana, in New Orleans, in Louisiana that they decided to do this. We talked about 15 or 20 minutes more about different things. He told us that he was going to go to Mississippi to speak to SNCC, and then he was going to come back and going to really work on forming the organization. And it was about 5 or 6 of us backstage at the time talking to him. And then we had decided that this Reverend Galamison was going to come in and make a speak to the audience about getting some clothes and supplies for his family. So he said, does anyone here know what Galamison looked like? And I said, yes, I do. So he sent me down front to wait on Galamison. When Galamison came in, I was supposed to bring him backstage. So I'm sitting down front waiting for this in the little room off the main ballroom. And, this place is like almost a football field long. So I heard Brother Malcolm say, Assalamu alaikum. And the next thing I heard was shots. And I ran into the main area when I started hearing the shooting. And I got knocked down and I laid on the floor to people running by me. And I heard screaming and crying and shooting. When the shooting stopped, I jumped up and ran down the length of the ballroom, jumped up on the stage. When I got there, Mrs. Kochiyama was holding him in her arms. And someone had pulled his shirt open. And you could just see the bullet holes all, in his chest. I kind of felt then that there was no way he was going to survive. He was kind of gagging. He was laying on the floor. He was kind of gagging. I remember jumping off the stage and wondering, had anyone gone to get the doctors? But some brothers had already gone over to Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. No doctor from there would come over. So they took a cart and rolled it through the streets, put him on it, and took him back over to the hospital. But I remember about that time that there was some police there in that place. We know there was undercover cops. I remember I saw police in uniform. And they was, when I can still see them with all this chaos, people laying on the floor, a lot of screaming and crying. This is, immediately afterwards. And they were walking very casually through the place, just looking around. Nobody looked as though there was any kind of real serious effort being made. And I really think that the only reason that there eventually was a trial was because one of the brothers had disobeyed Brother Malcolm, who said no weapons. And one of the brothers in our group had brought a weapon with him. I didn't know he had brought one, but he had been able to shoot this one guy when he was running by, slowed him down, and he got caught by the crowd outside. And I really think they would have stomped him to death if the police had not taken him away from him and put him away. And that was the only reason I think they had a trial. I think if he had gotten away like the others did, there never would have been a trial. It would have been like, well, we're checking things out, we're investigating. But because he was caught and so many people saw him get caught, there had to be a trial. I think the assassinations, I think back over it now, was done like it was for 3 reasons. Because he could easily have been assassinated in some dark corner as he was going home. One, to intimidate his followers, which was successful. We can shoot your leader down in the middle of the afternoon. 2, to cause all kind of dissension between the group. Who's in the group. Somebody in the group is obviously a plant with the police. Who is it? and 3 to cause a shootout between the Muslims, the Nation of Islam, and Brother Malcolm's people. That's the whole part of the whole thing that did not succeed, because brothers in both groups had cool enough heads to keep a blowout from happening. And when it did not happen immediately after the assassination, that night the mosque was burned to the ground. Now, there's no way that anybody associated with Brother Malcolm could have gotten to that mosque that evening and burned it to the ground the way it was. So and then again, I think that was supposed to lead to the shootout, and then the shootout still did not occur. That was the only part, I think, of the game plan that did not work that day in terms of his assassination. And